On this episode, we go international from Baltimore. Hello everybody, this is Ray and welcome to the Real Q&A show. We have an incredibly talented panel here today to answer a lot of your questions, so thank you for sending them in. We were in Baltimore for a real estate conference and I thought it'd be an awesome opportunity to hook up with some of the most talented agents that I know in the world. So this is Sandra from Canada and Byron from the States, and I'll let you guys introduce yourself. Byron, why don't you start, where you're from, and tell us about your market.
Byron Leasing. I am shoreline of Connecticut. We have an office, Mystic and Old Lyme, team called Seaport Real Estate Group, division of Sotheby's, and happy that we connected and doing the show on the Real QA.
There you go.
This is awesome.
Sandra, what about you?
I'm Sandra Pike from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and so I'm pretty sure you Americans, you heard about
You
Sid the Kid. You
Americans.
Oh, wow. All of you already.
Well, I had to make, the plug for Pittsburgh, Sid the Kid.
Yeah.
So we
Okay.
live in his hometown.
There you go.
Yeah, well, I gotta, spread the
Nice.
love and make sure everybody knows.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us on the show. This is the first, this is only our third episode, but we're already going international.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Yeah, Sandra's bringing it.
I'm trying.
Huge. All right, so I'm going to get into your questions. Thank you so much for submitting. We actually have 3 video questions this week, so I'll play them and see what you guys think.
Cool.
Hey, I'm Leah Coltrane and I'm from the pharmacy at Wellington. My question for you is, how has social media affected people's decision making when they're deciding whether or not to use a realtor or sell on their own?
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Leah. So, how has social media affected people's decision whether or not to use an agent? Byron, shoot.
So, I think there's like 2 parts to it, meaning some people just think, oh, well, I've got social media as this tool, I'll just go out there and do this on my own, right? Because I can use it, but it's kind of like, I think Tom talked about it this week here in Baltimore, like, do you want someone giving you surgery that's just kind of doing it for the first time, or flying your plane to back home to Canada? It's like, oh, by the way, Sandra, this is like first time I've ever flown, so I don't know, wear your seatbelt if you want. I think the other part is when people are posting what they're going to have for dinner on Facebook. They're posting like what they're doing. Right. They're posting what they're experiencing that week. They're also posting like, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, right? And so if you're an agent that's touching enough people, your sphere of influence, your friends are now going to chime in that individual's comment box and say, boom, Byron Leasing, check out Byron, check out Sandra, check out Ray, and you're going to see 20, 30 tags. Now, if you're aggressive and you see that, oh my gosh, I just got tagged in this person's post, now you can jump in, inbox them, say, hey, I saw that so-and-so that we know just tagged me in your post, you're thinking about buying a house, like, I'm here for you, I can help. So I think people are using it as a conversational tool, that's what it is. And if you're savvy enough to jump in, add value, out of the 20 people that got tagged in their post, then they're probably going to select you.
Essentially using it to enhance the word of mouth. Like old school word of mouth.
It is.
Yeah.
Facebook is the word of mouth. Like, that's what so many agents say to me, like, well, I get business word of mouth. Okay, well, you can do that at scale on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you just can't get that done, by somebody having coffee and one-on-one. Everybody sees that post. Everybody reading the comments, whether they're ready to buy or sell or not. Seeing that you just got tagged 3-4 times, that guy must be a rock star. When I do buy, when I do sell, I'm calling him or her.
That's good. So especially if somebody's thinking about selling it on their own, seeing someone else post, like I've had this happen too, where somebody posted their own home for sale and I got tagged, you should just call Ray.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Georgia.
Yeah.
We just had, literally, just posted, hey, like, hit me up on Facebook, a quick thing, like, I've got something I can only share with a couple of people. One of my mutual friends tagged buyers that we're working with.
Right.
Started talking to them, adding value.
Right.
They went out and bought in like 2 months. Right.
Nice. Sandra, what do you think?
They wanted to trust somebody.
Yeah, that's good. Trust.
You know, being involved in social media now for the past 6 years, and this is what I live and breathe every day.
Yeah.
And the average person, I mean, I'm sure if they want to sell their home on social media, on Facebook, you know, that's going to be something that they want to do. But for most of us agents here within coaching, you know, it's creating that audience who's going to want to purchase that house. So if your house is 190,000 or 850,000, maybe the people who you were just targeting, you know, within your own personal Facebook, where you're putting something up, it's not going to reach the demographic where it needs to go. So I think that's really important. You know, I know all of us, we create avatars, right, of who's going to buy that house. So I would do different marketing depending on what the price of the home would be.
Yeah.
And it's not just Facebook. You know, for myself personally, on my Facebook page, I have over 3,000 contacts.
Right.
On Instagram, I have over 2,000 followers, and I have 1,500 people who are on LinkedIn, because that's something I'm at constantly. So just using an agent, I feel you can get that broad audience to help sell your house. And again, like you talked about, getting in more posts in, like people are saying, hey Sandra, you know what I mean? You're talking about your house being sold. So I just think that when you're listing your house by yourself on social media, you're just with your own friends.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you brought up such a good point, because if you know like your family member or your friend is going to buy the house, well, you don't even have to make a social post. You're just going to go sell it to them.
Yeah.
Now, you definitely probably don't have, like we all have, thousands of agents that are following all your social posts, because you're engaging at scale with brokers across the country or the countries.
Yeah.
And all those brokers, when you're working with an agent, is going to see, if it's a seller, see that listing where you're just showing it to your cousins and your best friends from high school.
Absolutely, 100%.
As a consumer.
And not only that, we actually spend a lot of money to do things like A/B testing to know if you say my house is for sale like this, it
Dude,
works.
You do a great job at the testing of ads. You do.
Yeah, and, well, and we purpose.
Where were we when you blew up that ad? Like, were we in Vegas?
Yeah.
And he just literally targeted like
all
the hotel
agents in Vegas. Yeah.
In that hotel that we were at, wherever we were.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, the Facebook analytics gives us an opportunity to where we can select an audience or even a market. So even the people that aren't following us, we can also select them and create an audience of people who might be potential buyers, kind of like what you were saying.
Absolutely.
And then we have done the A/B testing, so I know that if you say my house is for sale like this, it works, and if you say my house is for sale like this, it doesn't work. And we know what to put in there. Like I was talking to somebody earlier today about how we do it, where we'll do 3 different ads with 3 different calls to action, but everything else is the same. Then we'll change the call to action, or we'll change the copy and keep the call to action the same, picking the best one that performed the best.
Correct.
Then we'll change the embellishment on the image, because it's amazing we know things like if I'm in front of a house, I get 50% men, 50% women to click on that ad. When I'm not in front of the house, it's about 87% women that click on the ad.
Wow.
So either maybe I'm not that attractive. I don't know. I don't know why men are coming. I don't know what's happening.
When you're not in front of the house.
When I'm not in front of the house, it's mostly women clicking.
Jeez,
when I am in front of the house, I get men and
some
women.
of these poor women.
Well, so I was actually kind of curious about that. I get an overall boost in the number of women and the number of men.
Okay.
So it's not like more women aren't clicking. It's more women are and more men are. But it literally goes from 87% women to 50-50.
Wow. That's interesting.
It's crazy. So, but I wasted a lot of money to figure that out. Now that I figured that out,
But it's
we
not
make
really
some
wasting
changes.
money then.
It's not really wasting, but for somebody that's trying to sell their own home, that would be a total waste, because they're trying to sell their own home in 3 to 5 years. In the next 5 years, it's going to be totally different.
Well, yeah, it goes back to, are you doing it for the first time, or have you
Right.
done it hundreds of times,
Right.
or thousands of times?
Awesome. All right, let's go to the next question.
Dude, I love these questions.
No.
I know, I love the
What thing
video.
you got going on here?
Ray Allen, RJ Martino with iProv. I've got a business and we're running out of space. What factors should we consider when determining if we should lease or buy?
So what factors should a business consider when thinking about leasing or buying to get into a new space?
Yeah.
So there's a couple ways to answer this. I know generally we specialize in residential. I don't know, Byron, how much commercial you do, but however,
More res, some
more
commercial.
resident. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. But however, we are also business owners. We operate our own businesses, and we also may be looking for space in the future.
Yeah.
So, Sandra, how would you answer his question? What are the factors he should consider in thinking about either leasing or buying as he's expanding?
I would definitely buy. because it's an investment in your business. And we talked earlier about even when you're getting a business loan, it's easier because you're always going to need leasehold improvements.
Yeah.
And we actually just went through this exercise when we were trying to get a lease for this particular business we were running. We couldn't get the additional money to do the leasehold improvements because we didn't own the building. But if we own the building, it's very easy for the bank to give us because we have an actual asset.
That's exactly right.
And then when you're ready to retire, you can sell the business, you have equity, so I just think it really makes sense to buy.
I would agree that if you can buy, do it. But that being said, if you're going to stunt the growth of your company because you went out and made this purchase and now you're paying, maybe you got to grow the space somehow, but if a lease is going to bring your overall monthly cost down enough where you can grow so much more over the next 3 years that now you can buy 2 or 3 locations if you want because you've grown so much, made so much money for your business that you're in a position that would be far greater than if you just bought and you were kind of like strapped, like kind of like that homeowner that overbuys. Go ahead.
So if I were to buy a building, so let's say I bought a space that was 3,000 square feet, but realistically, So I mean, you get your rent paid.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you got to be smart about it.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like for me, and with our business, like it would make no sense for our team to go buy a building and stunt the growth of everything that we're investing to kind of take over market share. Like my whole goal is like I'll work out of a closet to get more market share for my business. So what was his name?
RJ.
RJ has to know his business in and out, which
Absolutely.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
Right? And know his business plan, know his vision, and then go and find the Sandra in your marketplace to say, where are the opportunities? Like, should I buy right now commercial space? If I buy this big space because I can afford it, do you have somebody that can come in and rent? Yep. Get the local professional in your area to guide you through that. Once you say, this is my business plan, I absolutely know my numbers, and this is where I'm moving towards.
Yeah, I completely I agree with both of you. I mean, both of you make great points. The only other thing I would add is just to look at it as if you were adding a team member or as if you were adding anything else. If the additional space makes sense financially, in other words, if the extra office produces X amount of income and covers the cost of that expansion, then it makes sense to expand. So just calculating your expansion, like as you expand, how much is that going to add to your bottom line? And then you can look at the factors of maybe an income generating property like Sandra said. As you expand, are you able to continue to take over space, or are you going to be locked into that space for 10, 20 years? Sometimes commercial leases are really long for some of the best spots. Sometimes they're shorter in smaller offices.
Yeah, that's a great point too.
Yeah, so you have to be able to project your business. And one of the things you can do is something we've been doing here is look back over the last 5 years. And where were you 5 years ago? What was going on 5 years ago? And just think financially, think you personally, and then think about your team. And now see where are you now, and kind of analyze that. And then where are you going to be in the next 5 to 10 years? And if you can get into a space that earns enough income that doesn't lock you in, and you're able to maybe go out of that space in 5 years and then lease the rest of it out, now you have a great commercial investment. However, if you're going to be cash strapped, like you said, if it's going to be a gross detriment to your business, then I would say lease and be as flexible as possible.
Yeah, because cash is king.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, Billie Jean.
Hi, my name's Billie Jean and I'm with the Dickinson Allstate Agency. I get asked all the time by my clients, why should a home buyer use a real estate agent instead of using things like Zillow and open houses?
Awesome. Thanks for the question, Billie Jean. Why should a home buyer use a real estate agent instead of Zillow and open houses and things that are open to the public?
That's a touchy.
I could rip poor Billie Jean's head off on this one. Although she seems like very nice person. Well, Zillow isn't going to negotiate for it. Maybe someday they will. I don't know. But right now, in 2016, 2017, whenever you're watching this, Zillow's not going to negotiate for you.
Right.
They're definitely not going to put a valuation on, even though they have this estimate. We know that Spencer Raskoff, when he sold his house in 2016, he sold it for $1 million less than the Zestimate of his own house, of his own company. He's the CEO of Zillow, for anyone that doesn't know, right?
He also bought, on the one he bought, he paid more than the Zestimate said he should pay for.
Okay, so I didn't know that. And then he paid more than the Zestimate. So they don't have a good valuation system at all.
No.
So they're not going to do the things that a top agent like Sandra or Ray can do for you in your home buying process. What was the other one? Open houses. I think you should go to a ton of open houses.
Right.
Like even before you have an agent, you should probably go to 10, 20 open houses and then start meeting the agents. Don't sign anything, sign in. Don't sign any buyer reps. Like, don't like him because he was watching football like when I walked in. Don't like her. Really like her. Want to get to know her. Like, start scouting the agents. You can use Zillow to scout the agents. But if you're going to go direct to a listing agent, I list a lot of properties.
Right.
I really like that when people come direct. That being said, you're neutralizing my position when you go dual agency.
Yep.
You're neutralizing my position, so I'm just basically transferring information, making sure everything's done right. But if this is the first, second, third, fourth house you bought, you probably don't have the negotiation skills of a true buyer's agent coming in and digging their feet in, finding the weakness, and getting you the best deal possible. In Connecticut, you don't pay a fee for a buyer's agent. So why not go hire the very top buyer's agent, and let them do all the work for you, and get you a great deal on the house?
Yeah.
Put everything together.
Yeah.
And
As a listing agent, I probably listed over 90 homes this year in Halifax.
Congrats.
Yeah, it's been a great year, and the struggle that I see of listings that I get is that when the seller, when they were a buyer, never had representation to purchase that house, and now I'm left trying to sell a house that they overpaid for in a buyer's market that we have with no buyers.
Absolutely.
And it's a struggle. So I feel that, go interview a bunch of agents.
Right.
Because this is the most important decision that you'll ever make in your life. Yeah. And you want to make sure that if I'm helping you buy, I want to make damn sure that you're not going to overpay for that house. Because anything that you buy, life changes. You could move within 5 years, and I need to know that house is marketable, sellable, that I can, help you with your transition.
And when they say this is my dream house, that 3 years later they get divorced and they've changed their mind and it's not the dream house anymore.
No, it happens. And, as a first-time home buyer, I really feel that you need that representation, because there's nothing worse than having to remain like, Switzerland, to be neutral. Yeah. And you can't give that, that advice that you should. So, but if you've been in the market and you've purchased 5 or 6 houses, and if you want to deal with the listing agent, by all means, go ahead.
Yeah.
But if this is not your first rodeo, you need the representation.
Yeah, like if you're an investor, you know your numbers inside and out.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do your thing.
Yep. Great.
It's good. Good points. I would only add that on the dual agency, I guess you could kind of take two ways of going. I find that my clients enjoy when I have both sides, because I tell them up front, I'm going to let you duke it out on price. And then when they go under contract, they realize that the terms for both parties are really favorable. Because I knew that they needed an extra 2 weeks in the rental, and I knew that they needed to stay a little longer. And so those things are kind of negotiated, I guess you could say behind the scenes, to where I know those terms are favorable for them, those terms are favorable for them. I let them work on the price. And then once they're under contract, it just creates a really smooth process.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So part of our conditions when you're purchasing a house is to do a home inspection.
Yeah.
Is that something in your market as well?
Well, it's optional, but we always tell people you got to do an inspection.
So how do you remain neutral? Let's say if there was asbestos in the house, for example. How would you remain neutral?
Do you guys have asbestos?
Oh yeah, well, older houses, yeah. So if so, how would you remain neutral, knowing that you really need to give that first-time home buyer the information that they need, because they have no family, they're just here, a couple. How are you going to give them the informed information and to help them with that home inspection when you have to remain neutral?
So I point out things that are obvious. Asbestos is something that I think in Arkansas, I think we have to test.
Well, I just made that up. It could be anything, right?
But I rely heavily on the home inspector. And we have some of the best home inspectors. So I will give them some of the best home inspectors, people that I would entrust to inspect my own home. And I rely on the professional to give the opinion of, hey, this is a big deal, this is not a big deal. I don't even weigh in on that stuff, actually, because as a professional, I market properties, I help people find properties, but I'm not going to make a determination if, the light switch doesn't work because it's loose or because the whole house needs to be rewired.
Yes.
And give them options, right?
Yeah.
Like in the last 10 deals where I was in this situation, the buyer chose between their 3 options of A, B, and C. They either asked for this to be remediated, they dealt with it, and just give them all their options.
And say, what are you most comfortable with? Like the above a master bath entry, there's a lot of times in Arkansas a little settlement crack. above the master bath entry. As a matter of fact, I have one inspector that told me he just kind of keeps it in his report and he takes it out if it's not there. That's how common it is.
Oh, wow.
And so, but that little settlement crack makes the inspector say, it seems to be regular settlement, but you have to, talk to a structural engineer if you want additional information. So then they ask me, what would I do? I would hire a structural engineer every time. I don't care if it's my listing or their listing, because I'm not
How many
going.
people actually do that?
Every now and then, maybe like 1 in 10, 1 in 20.
Yeah,
It's not very often. But I would totally do that because it's a $200, $300 to get a guy's opinion on that, and then you have peace of mind. And next time it shows up in your inspection when you're selling, then you've got that to fall back on.
Yeah.
So I think you can still represent both parties and be neutral when it comes to those things, because those are essentially out of my control, and just giving them options to see what's in their best interest. What would you like to do? I don't make that determination or opinion of it.
Yeah.
As far as, back to Zillow and back to the question, Zillow doesn't have a lot of the data right. As a matter of fact, they always get my photos wrong, it seems. I'm always like calling them to change photos. And
Actually, just had the same conversation.
yeah,
with
they're
somebody.
pulling like historic data from, I don't know where they get all of their information. Even sometimes in Arkansas, the square footage is wrong. I'm currently working on a property that has about 100 square feet more than what Zillow says and what the county says. And so Zillow doesn't know that. So
Yeah.
when we change that, sometimes Zillow will flip it back. So there's a lot of data and information missing, which is a good reason. If no other reason, that's a great reason to call an agent, but that's an easy one. The negotiation is also a great reason. A lot of people who are asking a question like this, though, think that they can handle that negotiation themselves. But what I found is when I have a buyer like that doesn't want any representation but wants to talk to me about a property, there's about 5 to 7 questions I can ask them that they answer almost every time that essentially determines the price they're going to pay.
Can I just flip it back?
Yeah.
We were talking about using a buyer agent
Yeah.
to negotiate. We just talked about for sale by owners, putting their own
Yeah.
property up on the market. It's very difficult for sale by owner. I don't know if you've experienced this, because they're so emotionally attached
Yeah.
to the sale that it's best to have another party in just to do the negotiation for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remove the
Absolutely.
emotion. That's good.
Zoe knows. We call it, on our team, drop the drama, do the deal. Right?
I like it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions we have from them, but I have one for you guys.
Oh,
I'm gonna
boy.
kinda
Oh, dear.
Bonus
spring it.
question.
Bonus question.
On the real Q&A.
Real Q&A. I'm going to real Q&A you. So we're at this conference. There's about 500 to 600 other agents here, some of the top agents in the world, and we've been learning a lot about what's coming. So my question to you guys is, what's one thing that you've learned here this week? And you guys are already kind of technologically advanced, but what's one thing that you've really kind of picked up this week or want to hone in and focus on this week that a consumer that would benefit them?
Okay.
Because this conference, it's kind of a difficult question.
Yeah.
So this
Well,
conference
putting
is,
me on the
Thanks.
spot.
I know, right? It's really for agents,
Yeah.
right? But we're also told about a lot of tools and about a lot of things that if they've hired an agent, that agent should be doing. So that's one way to take it. But what's one thing a consumer should know that you've picked up from the conference?
I think it's for an agent to remain current. I think that's so important because, even for me, at my age, getting closer to 50, I still need, if I have a first-time home buyer house that's at $190,000, I need to be able to still market to those 24 to 32.
Yeah.
And that's important. Or if I have a house that's $500,000, I know that I still need to create my marketing that's going to, attract that buyer.
Yeah.
So I think it's so important for realtors, be current and be educated. Very, very important, because that just helps our buyers and sellers.
Yeah.
I actually really like what you said there, because everybody here is getting stuff 6 months, 12 months before really the rest of the industry catches on. Like
Exactly.
we're talking about Facebook Live video, which Sandra and I are both doing right now. When you start to your point, find the agents, find the teams that are thinking 6 months, 12 months ahead of the curve, you're now going to have this fabulous marketing on your home that the competitors in that marketplace just aren't doing, because they haven't. We're fortunate to be coming to these things
Absolutely.
and sharing so much information and getting it in our market, well before anybody catches on. We're always like 4 or 5 years behind the West Coast, so it's unbelievable the amount of sharing that we get. And for me, the big thing, it may not be this specific time, but I think it was about a year or two ago when Tom said teams are taking over. Like teams are absolutely taking over. And so if I'm a consumer, knowing that Like, we're just really learning the power of team, fine-tuning that art, making sure that I get with an agent that is operating a team or on a team.
A team outperforms an individual
Every time. Yeah, I agree.
Because you have the
Love it.
specialists. It's like the example they were talking about with the doctor's office. You show up at the doctor's office and you have somebody that signs you in, somebody that takes you through the processes.
Yeah.
Then the doctor comes in extremely precise for the most important thing, and then they leave to do that again. And again and again and again, and then the rest of the team kind of takes you through the rest of the way. And that's exactly how real estate is becoming as a profession. You know, we are building our team this year and finding the specialists, and it made a huge impact.
Just the last couple days is overwhelming.
Yeah.
If you're like a single agent, like, am I right? Like, you have to be a good marketer. You have to be a good negotiator. You have to be a good evaluator of the marketplace.
Right.
Like, all these different things. Good communicator. Good on the phone. Good.
Right.
It's hard to be a jack of all trades.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, put everybody in their positions where they can succeed the most, their strengths, and then rock out from there.
That's one of the things I'm excited about competition. Like, I guess people think competition is Zillow, but really Zillow just makes a ton of money off agents. I mean, we are their client.
It's an advertising platform.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Zillow is advertising.
Right. But I'm really excited about things like that are entering the marketplace because it hones our skills as agents, and just it'll get rid of those who maybe aren't representing their clients well, aren't representing the market well.
It actually
They
weeds
won't make
people
it.
out.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the agent that doesn't understand what's actually happening says, well, I hate Zillow. And then they lose and they're out of
Right.
the business. They fall into the 87.5%. And they let the good agents and the good teams have more deals.
So is it good for us not to have Zillow?
maybe not, I guess. Kind of both ways.
I'm fine with Zillow because it's
Yeah.
like, it's another, I mean, I want the most reviews. I want the most sales posted because if I'm Billie Jean.
yeah.
If I'm Billie Jean and I'm researching
Yeah.
on Zillow.
Yeah.
I want
74
pop.
was it 74% of people go to Zillow for? It's probably
Absolutely.
higher now.
It's Zillow and Trulia.
Zillow and Trulia.
74,
yeah.
but their own, but yeah, so same thing.
Yeah.
And us would be Google.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, in Canada.
Oh,
Canada's
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think probably one of the things I picked up at the summit that I started using was emojis in advertising.
Is there no Zillow in Canada at all?
No, none, not a Zippo.
Oh.
Yeah. No Zillow.
Maybe you should start Zippo. And
Start your own there, Sandra.
No.
Awesome.
I'm good.
So no, but one of the things I picked up in Vegas was doing emojis in the advertising, and to see the numbers of click-throughs that we got
Yep.
from using smiley faces and heart smiley and all that kind of stuff over a post, the A/B testing over a post that didn't have that is huge.
Email subject line too.
Yeah. So we've picked up a couple of things here that I don't want to reveal because everybody in our marketplace is going to watch this, that we'll be doing over the next couple of months. I'm super excited about. So just having some of those tools in place. But one thing for the consumer is, I like what you said, just making sure your agent is coming to things like this to continue to hone their skills and be the best.
Be current.
Agree.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So why
Anytime.
don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
I can be found at thepikegroup.ca, or if you are a Instagram person, I am Deals and Heels Halifax Realtor. Follow me there; it's great.
Deals in heels?
Oh, yeah.
Heels and heels.
Every
I gotta
time-
make sure we're connected. I think we are.
Every time I have a new listing, there's a pair of shoes. Every time I sell,
Really?
there's a pair of shoes.
Awesome.
Oh yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I love it. Branding. Mm-hmm. Definitely catch up with me on Instagram at Byron Lazine and check me out on, if you watched all the way to the end of this video, definitely check out one of my videos. YouTube/Byron Lazine and drop me a comment, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, thank
Awesome.
you.
It's a lot of
Thank you guys
fun.
for coming.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Woo!
Thank you. High five.